Hello and welcome to another episode of the Obstacle Race Magazine podcast. We have Kevin here again with me this week. What episode is it, Kevin?
21.
It is 21. Amazing. We've also got another special guest with us this week. We've got Karl Allsop, the Director of Race Operations, at Spartan. So thank you very much, Karl, for joining us.
No, it's a pleasure to be back. Thank you.
Obviously,
you should announce him now as friend of the podcast. I think now it's his second appearance.
Taking liberties, but it is good. And obviously, Karl, you're in the thick of it at the moment. You're sort of on the front line in terms of adaptations that mass participation events are having to go through to be able to actually survive through what's happening at the moment. I know it's a bit of a negative slant on it, but it is kind of a case of survival at the moment to make sure that you can come out the other end of this whenever that is in a decent state. So, Karl, hopefully you've been coping all right with the social distancing and lockdown and whatever at the moment. A bit of quiet time for you.
Yeah, it is. It is the longest time that I've been at home. In one place for some time, and it's taken a little while of getting used to it, but I'm enjoying it.
Gives you plenty of time to plan your next moves and whatever else, and whatever evil obstacles that you've got coming up in future and what have you, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, we are definitely going back over courses, taking another look at venues, taking another look at course design. And every single part of it, there's plenty of time to make some changes now and sort of a few tweaks here and there and all the little bits that we can do.
The time that you'd never ordinarily have, it must be such a roller coaster between each event. It's like one's rolling into next, rolling into marketing, rolling into next, and it must feel like life's moving at 100 mile an hour most of the time, and then all of a sudden now, brakes have been slammed on for you.
Well and truly slammed on. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I mean, at this point, we'd be, under normal circumstances, we'd be on site. We'd be at Pippingford. We'd be well into the build. You know, we'd be looking at sort of being 3 days away from being ready to sign all the obstacles off and get prepped for a Saturday race day. It's going to be odd to think that it's not, but there's plenty of plans in place sort of in the meantime until we get to July and get back to Marston Lodge. And at least, what a place to start when it's going to be back on our UK home.
Yeah, I bet the build team's chomping at a bit now, though, aren't they? Ready and raring to go.
Everyone's chomping at the bit. All of us. Every single one of us at this point is, it is nice to be sort of stuck in the house and in one place and being here, but it's also really nice. It would also be really nice to get out on site and actually be lifting some tools up. We closed all our trailers up just before all of the social distancing measures firmly went into place. It was the last couple of bits to secure all of the equipment. So actually watching everything being wheeled back into at a point where we were pulling everything out of the warehouse to get it ready to go, watching it all being put back in for an unknown amount of time was definitely an odd feeling, very much so.
The amount of planning time that you got, there was just no excuses now, is there? Every course should be perfect now, every route, every venue. No excuses.
100. No, you're right. There is no excuses. There'll always be little bits that people prefer or people like or people don't. But absolutely, there should be. We reviewed Marston last week, so that's getting ready for a couple of amendments and a couple of the tweaks. It's gone out to we don't usually get the time to put it out to the wider team and actually sort of give the wider team an input into all of the course, where every little part of it, but we can do that now. So it's gone out to the whole team. So the whole build team have taken a look at it. Everyone's come back with a few little tweaks. So from my side, people can't complain that it's my course that gave them those smiles and misery anymore. It's now a group effort.
I think that's one of the reasons people like to travel to other countries, though, because obviously as the sort of race director in brackets or director of race operations or whatever, it's bound to have your personality stamp on it anyway, isn't it? It's going to be what you like to get from a race, and there's going to be that. I know you're going to adapt it to try and please as many people as possible, but it's always going to have your stamp on it. So that's probably why people also like to travel around a little bit as well, like the ones who do get the opportunity to do it, to taste other race directors' sort of input into their own bits and bobs and their courses that they design.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. I haven't done much OCR for the last couple of years, but the ones you get out to, the ones that you see, and the courses that you do, there's definitely a personality out there. I know if you're going to come and run one of my courses, your carries are going to be less than easy. They're going to be as many as I can realistically get in. They're going to be as heavy as I can get, and they're probably going to be pretty long.
Is that how you've been told you've got to say it, Carl? Less than easy. You're not allowed to say hard. You've got to say less than easy.
I'm trying to work on my swearing.
Well, I've got Kevin's keeps christening the swearing anyway, so I've got that.
You got the
bleep ready and ready. I think you actually
friendly.
Christened it, Carl.
Oh,
you
really?
Yeah, you were the first ever person to swear on the podcast. You first ever bleep.
He's just done it again.
Is he really?
Yeah, under his breath. Yeah, it's under his breath.
Snuck that one in. I wouldn't have even had that one either.
So like you said, Carl, the first Spartan race this year, so it's going to be July, so we're a few months away, and the season should be starting very soon. So what else is Spartan doing? What other initiatives are big getting put in place?
So we've got a couple of really good promos on that I'll come back to shortly. But I think the biggest one that we're all gearing up for, particularly for this weekend, is our virtual race. So this has been all over social media. A lot of people have seen it. So we've teamed up with SOS Hydration, who were with us last year and have come back again this year. They are presenting our Spartan virtual race. So for every race, this is free as well for everyone to take part. So there's no cost. You just have to go to the website, you sign up, and for every entry that goes in there, SOS will donate a drink pack to the NHS. So the more people we can get signed up to this, then the more hydration products will be going out there. If we think of all those people out there currently fighting the good fight, there's a lot of them that really having a drink of water and staying hydrated is absolutely at the back of their mind. So the more people we can get signed up to do this, the more hydration we can get out there to them. But going back to the race, for every race weekend that we have had to reschedule, so that's Pippinford, the southeast this weekend. That would be Ireland in May, and that will be Wales in June. We are doing a virtual race. So we've had a small number of our racers already take part in it. They've already sort of done it for us. There's the distance that you have to run. So this weekend is the Beast and Super weekend, Beast and Sprint weekend, sorry. So you can do the Beast distance. If you are able to get out and run, if you can run quick enough to stay within guidelines, then you can run it. But there
have a garden big enough.
Or have a garden big enough. I read a story. It's a total tangent. I read a story today of a guy running a ultra marathon in his driveway in America, sort of 20-meter driveway, and he ran back and forth till he did a 50-mile ultra. So yeah, you can definitely do the distance by running if you're mad enough for that. Or you can row it, you can bike it. We've got options in there for you to skip if you want to use a skipping rope, and various other ways. But either way, you still cover the distance of the race, and then there are 20 obstacles that are all based around body weight exercises, rep-based body weight moves. 20 of them for the sprint and 30 for the beast. We can't race within one location as we normally would, but we can all still race together. So the Spartan virtual race gives us an opportunity to still bring all of those Spartans together and still be doing the same thing, different locations all over the country and potentially all over the world, but being together as one. We overcome obstacles, and this is just another obstacle that we've got to come together and get past.
And obviously, it's doing a hell of a lot of good for if they're willing to donate the hydration stuff and stuff like that and whatever, that's obviously doing a hell of a lot of good for people who are on front line at the moment as well.
Yeah, 100%. It's, you know, I've always been a bit fickle on sort of hydration products that I've used. I've used some pretty good ones, some pretty awful ones, but I've used SOS for just over a year now, since they joined us last year, and it's for me, it hands down keeps me hydrated. I use it when I travel, and I use it when I'm working away and on site. So getting this out to them, I know that it'll have some good, and absolutely, the more people we can get signed up, the more of this goes out there to the NHS, to all those doctors and nurses and everyone that's helping out. So if there isn't another reason, everyone's already out there exercising. One of the massive benefits that I've seen of this is just the sheer number of people. It's going to sound really bad. Everyone's still following the guidelines they should, but I'm seeing more people being active, whether that's walking or running, for this hour a day that we get, than I probably ever have. So, you know, the more that we're already out there exercising, we're already out there being active. So why not do it with Spartan this weekend during the Beast? Do the sprint. Sorry, don't know why I think it's a Super and Beast weekend. Do the sprint, do the Beast, sign up. It's your distance, it's your run, your cycle, whatever you want to do to cover that distance, and it's 20 exercises, 30 for the Beast, and then you send some good to the NHS, and then, you know, chill out for the rest of the weekend and order pizza if you can get it delivered.
And where'd you go to sign up, Carl?
So that's at spartanrace.uk, or if you Google Spartan Virtual Challenge, it's all over social media at the same time. So if you go to our Facebook, if you go to our Instagram, so that's Spartan Race, Spartan UK and Ireland on Facebook, that's Spartan Race UK on Instagram. The links are all there. It is 100% free. There is no cost to anyone here. You just need to go through the process, sign up. It'll tell you everything you need on there. And then, like I say, it's presented by SOS, and they'll send electrolyte drink packs out to the NHS.
Perfect.
Get signed up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great to see some videos and photos as well coming in for people that are doing it.
When does this podcast go out?
Tomorrow.
Okay. Look out the one so there's one exercise that I cannot keep a straight face at, and I've had to edit the video. I don't know whether you want to put this in there or not, or take it out. It's a good job we're not live. But glute raises are one of the obstacles in the list. I've had to edit the footage of 20 racers now doing glute raises, and because I'm cutting through it at around 3 or 4 times speed, the video of someone doing glute raises at 4 times the normal speed has brought a little smile and a laugh to my day every single time I've had to see it. And when the video goes up, I absolutely urge you, when it gets to that point, just skip back and forth a little bit. It's hilarious.
What is a glute raise? I don't even know what it is.
You should
Like
Google it.
do you mean a glute bridge sort of thing?
Yeah.
Just Kev, basically lay down on floor as if you were going to do a sit-up, knees up, but then you're sort of leaning back onto, you can kind of do it on your elbows or whatever, or lean back onto your shoulders, and then you basically lift your bum, push your bum up in the air. But you can do them one-legged, you can do off side of a sofa with your legs up there, or you can do it so your back's up against the sofa.
I'll wait for the tutorial video.
It actually is a really good move, and it highlights, like, if you're it's a really good indicator move as well. So if you're struggling on a run, and you know, we're supposed to run by utilizing our glutes as power. What can tend to happen is if that people have neglected the development of our glutes, we can run from our hamstrings. And I was taught this a while back. If you do the glute bridge or glute raises, and you can feel whether your glutes are doing the work or whether your hamstrings are doing the work. So it's if your hamstrings are doing the work, you're an inefficient runner. I'm sure there'll be a physio or a PT or someone listening to this that's going to go, oh, I don't know, I think this guy knows what he's talking about. But that's what a rehab PT taught me years ago. So I've kind of stuck with that 15-year-old knowledge.
Makes sense to me.
It makes absolute sense to me.
So in terms of Spartan Dates then, they've got obviously virtual challenges and stuff like that to keep them occupied over the next couple of months.
Yeah.
But so now that things have all changed and schedules have been changed, what are the new dates for these Spartan races that are planned for the rest of the year?
So it's once we hit July, it's going to be a whirlwind rest of the year. So the 11th and 12th of July, we are at Marston Lodge in the Midlands. So we've got a sprint, super, and a trail. So our first race will open our trail season as well. We then go to August the 15th and 16th. We are in Pippinford Park. So there's around a month later, we're dropping into August down south. Then the 5th and 6th of September, we're over in Yorkshire. So we're back up in Yorkshire a few weeks later. Brand new venue. That's the original date, so that one hasn't moved. 19th and 20th of September is Scotland. So a couple of weeks after Yorkshire, we are up to Hopetoun House in Scotland for our ultra weekend. So that's got a really good course, a couple of unique features that we won't have in any other course. It's going to get nice and sandy. I'm a big fan of a race venue where we can get people sandy.
And that includes the ultra as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. So that's the ultra weekend. That's our one and only ultra weekend. 10th and 11th of October, we are back down at original date, so they haven't moved for Windsor. So again, I think this is our 5th year down in Windsor, 4th year in the forest that we're in. So we've learnt plenty of places along there. They've done a lot of woodland work in that forest as well. So we're able to change a lot of that route this time round. Then the 5th of November. Sorry, that's the Spartan. I'm trying to read these off. That's the Trifecta World Championships. The 7th of November, we are in Ireland. So unfortunately, it does clash with the Trifecta World Championships, but we're working with the dates that we've got. It's not something that we'd normally plan, but it's still going to be a great race weekend. If you're not going over to Greece, if you're not going to be in Sparta, you should definitely come to Ireland.
It's going to be a cold weekend, isn't it?
It's going to get colder. I mean, sort of 2 weeks later, we are in Wales for the super sprint and trail weekend that was supposed to be in June. That's definitely going to feel the elements.
It's proper Spartan weather, though. When I started doing OCRs,
100%.
Spartan UK season was from sort of September onwards. It's almost going back to that for 1 year. Everything was like crammed into a few months, weren't it, Carl?
Yeah. It used to work around Canadian season, didn't it? So.
Sorry, I've got to stop saying Carl because I'm confusing you both.
But it did though, didn't it? That's what they used to do. Because they used to share the time between Canada and UK. Canadian season, they'd get that out of the way, and then they'd come over and do UK season, which would mean it was sort of shoved in all together. But it will be strange. But it obviously puts a hell of a lot of pressure on you as the race director to, because sort of there's a few more aspects that get pulled into it. There's I suppose you have to think a little bit more about hypothermia and stuff like that, because it actually really is starting to get a lot colder, lot colder time of year, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. There's from the race perspective itself, there's other elements come in. We've had to look at a few of the bits particularly if you look in Wales, that if the race was in June, it wouldn't have been an issue. The weather wouldn't have really been a concern. Racing that venue in November, it is. We're going to have to take a look at that. We're going to have to be mindful of a few things, but we've got plenty of time to plan it. The bigger concern that we had to look at was one, obviously still getting people there, but we have a human factor of the production team being able to go weekend to weekend for most of the travel schedule for this. Those guys are going to get sort of 2-3 days at home before they're back out on the road from Yorkshire, Scotland down into Windsor. That's the whole sort of back end of August to mid-October, where no one goes home.
Yeah.
So, but it's an obstacle. We put on tough races for tough people, so it's just something that we need to overcome and take care of.
I think a lot of people will like it. Like Sam say, it's a bit of a throwback to when we were used to the Spartan season, when it would have been Spartan race, when it would have been like real up the back end of the.
It's going to be a memorable season though. Be a memorable Spartan season, definitely.
We'll call it the Spartan OG season.
Yeah, exactly. For one time only, though, because summer months are definitely nicer times to be racing in.
We're Spartan, but we like a little warm weather, right?
Yeah,
they were
exactly.
Spartans in Greece for a reason.
So, in terms of you yourself, then, Karl, what have you been doing to sort of keep yourself sane while you've been sort of locked down, social distancing, all that jazz?
This is probably the healthiest that I've been, particularly for this time of the year. I've been on the road with Spartan for 6+ years now, and I don't think you quite realise until sort of a moment like this how when you actually stop, the years of hundreds of miles a day, hotel food, staying up late at night, trying to work, the impact it all has. The travelling everywhere takes its toll. And I think I've been using the last few weeks to sort of unwind a lot of that. So if anyone out there isn't sort of working on some mindfulness, some meditation work, and some mobility work, then they should probably be taking a look at it from someone who's used it for the last on and off for the last couple of years, but pretty much for the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's definitely made an impact. I'm running more. I've got a lot more time with the missus and with my daughter. I realised a week ago this is the most time I've spent consecutively with my daughter since I joined Spartan as well. So she's a teenager, so she's not as enjoying it as much as I am, but it's fun. Yeah. And I bought a piano, so
wow.
I can learn how to play the piano, which. I'm not going to play anything, and it's taken a little while, but I've always wanted to learn to play the piano.
Save that for the next podcast then.
I'll write you a little jingle, a little intro.
And how's Odin getting on?
Yeah, he's good. I saw a funny meme floating around the internet the other day of a dog on top of a cupboard, and it had this sort of catchphrase on it of, no, I don't want to go for any more walks. You've all taken me. And I think that's pretty much the mindset he's got at the minute.
I think most dogs are feeling it at the moment, aren't they?
Oh, 100%. I used to walk down in the morning, he'd be all excited. Hey, we're ready to go outside. Yeah, tail's wagging, we're good. When I walk downstairs now, he'll walk upstairs. I don't want to go anywhere till lunch.
Try and get under covers that way. Yeah, so in terms of the mindfulness and stuff then, Karl, are there any resources that you'd actually recommend people? Is there any that you particularly use that you'd recommend for people to go to? Yeah,
so I've been using the Headspace app for the last couple of years. It's a really simple app. You can get it on your phone, you can get it on your iPad, on your tablet, on pretty much everything. But what it does really well that I've found over a lot of others is you can sort of pick an area that you want to focus on. So there are a couple of bits that I used to really, really struggle with. It's funny to say it, but anxiety on race day, before race day was a massive one. The post-event, I don't want to say depression, but the post-event sort of dip was another. Sort of when it's all done and you got home, it's almost like you've had this whirlwind sort of 14 days, and then all of a sudden you go from 100 miles an hour to 0, and it took me a while to adjust with that. And you can kind of pick these little topics, and then you get to pick a time. It's sort of 3, 5, or 10 minute sort of time frames, and it'll talk you through it. The whole thing's guided. You don't need to do anything but pick what you want, pick the time you want, and hit go, and it'll talk you through the rest. They're usually sort of 4 to 12 week programs, but you can do it anyways. It's on your phone. So I've done it. I've done it when I've been out for a walk. I've done it sort of halfway through a run. I've done it in the middle of the night when I can't sleep. I've done it anywhere. If you've got your phone, and let's face it, almost all of us do these days. It goes everywhere with us. You can do it anywhere that you've got that. But I 100%, particularly with all the worries a lot of people have right now, I'd say it's definitely something that a lot of people should take a look at. And another bit of a plug, but you might want to just check it. But I'm pretty sure that Headspace are giving free membership to people in the NHS as well. Oh wow! And it is definitely something that people sometimes forget about, isn't it? Because you can make such a big difference to your mental health when you first take up exercise and things like that. But at the same time, it can't fix everything, can it? So it is always worth investing in your own mental health,
before.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone used to teach me that these things give us, it's sort of 5%. It's these little things will all give you, they're never going to fix everything for you. They're never going to, it's not a one trick to take care of it, but it'll give you 5%, and that 5% could be the difference between you having that edge to just be able to tackle this or tackle whatever is in your way.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we're looping it back to who we are. We are Spartan. It's not just how heavy can you carry it, how fast can you run. It's the mental aspect of Spartan's been a big thing since we started.
Yeah.
So being able to have the emotional intelligence to control your mind is a huge thing.
That can help with a lot of obstacles, especially when it comes to, like, say, about anxiety and things like that. People running up to spear throw, half of the time it will be the mind that have just cheated them out of that throw rather than anything else. They've just told themselves that many times running up to it that they're going to miss, that they've pretty much got no chance. Whereas if you've got that PMA coming up to it, you got a hell of a lot more chance. So I think that's something you could practice, Kev. What do you reckon for your spear throw? bit of positive mental attitude as you run up to it.
I just downloaded the app.
You might hit a few more.
Well.
Yeah,
I always hit. It just doesn't stay in.
It's worth giving it a go. Like it's easier to talk yourself into a failure than it is to talk yourself into a success.
Yeah, definitely.
And right now we're sort of surrounded. There aren't many successes around us that often that we're going to see. So it's just giving yourself that bit of a chance to make your own.
Yeah, it's definitely testing everyone's mentally, isn't it? Their mental state.
100%.
Those who are headstrong, probably creaking a little bit as well.
It's just strange, though, isn't it? It's just for some people they find it really hard to adapt to certain situations, and like if they break out of routines and things like that, and that's always that bit I can't quite understand, because I quite like not being in like huge routines. I find it boring if I do get into too much of a routine, to be honest.
But you know what's happening next weekend, don't you? You know what's happening in a couple of days' time, and in 2 weeks' time they got this on. At the moment, we don't know. Hopefully, the next couple of weeks, some really positive news will come out and things will start getting relaxed.
Hope so. Yeah. The thing is, like today, has been the announcement, hasn't it, that obviously things are being prolonged, which everyone expected, in terms of social distancing, isolation, stuff like that. And it was the best decision. They've not just basically backed off it. And I think there are some countries that have sort of backed away from it a little bit, maybe a little bit too soon, but we'll just have to see. So, Karl, a big one for you. And I don't even know if you're really going to have much of an answer for this one. But how do you feel that recent events will affect mass participation in the future, basically? How do you think this is going to affect the industry from now onwards? You've pulled up your chair, so this you're really taking this one seriously.
I think it's a very serious question, and I don't think there's really an easy answer for it. As a business, Spartan have always focused on outdoor events. That's what we do, right? Except we've now had to find a way for our business to continue and be around when we can get back to those events, to still be here. So I think the biggest change you're going to see is a lot of companies looking more at how does their event complement the life of the people that take part in it. So what do you do outside from the event? Is it just we want people to come race, go away, wear a t-shirt, come back again the next year or the next event? Or actually, do we want to bring people into a lifestyle of like-minded people, a lifestyle that we can all adhere to and spread that wider to make a positive difference? I think the biggest impact you're going to see on mass participation is if you are just going to focus on trying to have that event on the ground, this has taught us that there is no resilience in that.
Yeah.
It can be stopped so easily, and it has around the world. If you go back 6 months and we're told, if you go back 6 months and someone said, hey, there aren't going to be any mass participation events around the world in April next year. You'd have laughed like that.
You'd have been told you'd had too many tequilas, basically.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
WrestleMania was still on, wasn't it? Was it last weekend or the weekend before?
They wrestle behind closed doors.
I don't know. I don't know if they did. There was a UFC event, I think, as well, wasn't there? I don't know what's happening in the US.
I didn't. I'm gonna have to go look for WrestleMania now. I bet that's not as good as I remember it being.
It's but UFC wise, I don't think they've done any. I don't think they've taken part in any fights. But they're looking at like basically renting an island by the sounds of it. In terms of when you can get around laws and whatever because it's out in the ocean or whatever else.
Yeah.
And that's how they're going to try and get around it. But obviously, those two fighters, it's not very easy to practice social distancing when you're nibbling on someone's ear and obviously trying to choke them out, is it? So
yeah, no, you can't fight. I mean, unless you've got a 2.1 meter reach, which I don't think anyone has. You're not going to be able to adhere to those guidelines. I think just a business based on just outdoor events, this has shown that you need to have more to your business plan than that.
Yeah.
And for me, that becomes particularly for us as a lifestyle, as a lifestyle brand, as a fitness company, as a company that focus on mental and physical health, it becomes a relatively easy transition into a lifestyle brand, which Spartan have been doing steadily over the last few years. This has just helped us, I guess, sort of accelerate some of those plans.
It has, yeah. We're going to say that it's kind of helped. It's made itself into the perfect situation in terms of, like you say, being able to accelerate the stuff that ordinarily would have been sort of a secondary focus, maybe. Or not as much of a focus as what the primary income, like race weekends and whatever, were going to be. But now those have gone, it's obviously opened up loads of time for them to be able to focus on these other parts of the of that complete picture of being a lifestyle brand, like you say.
Yeah, and it is something that we've been looking at and working with for the last few years. But it's don't get me wrong. Events are our bread and butter. That's what we do. That's the company that we are. We put on events around the world, and fingers crossed in the next month or so, you're going to start seeing some of those come back up. We've already got a few revised dates. We're currently looking at a couple of events towards the back end of May in and around Asia. That it looks relatively positive that they're still going to go ahead. So that's who we are. That's what we do. It's what we've always done. But we've also realised that our business needs more, and that's not it. It needs to have a wider encompassing aspect to it. So if this happens again, which you never know what the world's going to throw at you. We could get another 5 or 6 years down the line, and we could be facing the same thing. So
don't tempt fate.
Just don't start eating.
WrestleMania was behind closed doors. It's like in a little sort of closed hall. It is. It's all the livery and.
But you can still see it. I feel like I'm going to have to spend the rest of my evening watching WrestleMania.
You have to YouTube it. It looks a bit weird. There's no crowd there watching them, but they're still wrestling and they're still.
I don't think I'll know any. Is the Undertaker still in it?
I think he is. There's no Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior anymore. But the glory is.
I thought Undertaker had died ages ago. No?
Oh, he's still alive, isn't he? Just
came back to life.
Keep up, Carl.
Did he? Oh, Undertaker, of course. he can never die, obviously. Random one for you then, Carl.
Okay.
Just to sort of lighten the mood a little bit. If you could collect together 10 items for a bug out bag from like right now in your house, and you had to shove 10 things into your bag within 10 minutes and just be gone, what would you shove in there?
Oh, someone's going to have to keep count for this. We're not counting people, right? They get their own. Yeah, they're going to have to walk. They can't go in your bag. Flashlight, combat knife, hunting knife type thing would be the first two. And then once, I've got something I can make a fire with and see where I'm going. I want my brew kit, so I want a bag of coffee. That would be the third. I think they're coffee beans, so that means I need to take a grinder and I need to take the coffee press
and a mug
and a mug. So that's 7. there. That's definitely well spent. Some paracord, that would be 8. A tarp so I can make somewhere to sleep, that would be 9. And then bow and arrow would be 10. They come as 1. I'm fine.
Is that to catch your lunch?
Yeah, I can. From that, I can see where I'm going. I can make a shelter. I can have a good brew, and I can either
Catch a wild boar,
hold Morrison's hostage, or find dinner.
Kill a few zombies. Sorted.
Hey,
I like
zombie
it.
apocalypse. That is going to happen.
Oh gosh, don't. That'll be next thing. That'll be 2021. That we'll have to get ready and raring for.
It's not if, it's when. It's gonna be.
Yeah, but I think in terms of obviously UK marketplace at the moment, like I say, no one knows where things are going to go in terms of mass participation, or
Easy
where
for you
they're
to
going
say.
or where.
How many gins did you have the other night?
I've got to leave that in now. You've just said that. Yes, in terms
How many
of
gins was you had the other night? Come on, you didn't answer,
I don't drink.
don't you? Not
No.
anymore.
No, definitely not. Not for another year. Mass participation, in it, I just think even when they open it up and they sort of relaxing the rules on sort of isolation, social distancing, stuff like that, it's gonna still be a little bit until they open it up on mass participation events as well. So we've just got to sort of suck it and see how things go. At least the majority of people at the moment are being sensible in UK and following guidelines, which is helping things along a hell of a lot, which is good to see. Have you got anything else for Karl, Kevin?
But
Yeah.
just what's the one thing he's most looking forward to once the isolation's finished?
Pizza.
Pizza?
Yeah, there's nowhere delivers to where I am right now. So being able to go to a shop, pick up a good 16-inch double pepperoni.
Any particular brand?
Papa John's, controversially.
Is that like your dream come true right now then? Just to be able to have that 16-inch pizza?
Yeah, just I was going to say something really bad. Yeah, just that 16-inch of pepperoni.
Can't wait.
Pure 16
Yeah,
inches.
I can't get anything delivered out here. I can't get anything delivered to the new house. So it's just not. We've tried to make pizza. It's filled a gap, I guess. We've bought it from the shop. There's just nothing like opening that box. Just doesn't work.
Any food, no matter what, when someone else makes it always tastes better. It's like when someone else puts salt and vinegar on the fish and chips. They always taste better than your own. It's an absolute nightmare. You try and reenact it, and it just never works out.
No, not even close to it.
Yeah, honestly, Karl, we really appreciate you coming on and sort of livening up an episode for us.
I enjoy it. I have a blast.
It's been nice because it's just sort of breaks things up, because there's really not that much news at the moment, and it makes it, I don't know, it means we're cranking out episodes because we want to put episodes and deliver things to people on a regular basis, but when we also don't want it to be stagnant, and we also and whatever else, and it's obviously a changing climate that can very easily be just taken from a negative angle.
Yeah.
But if we can look at positives and like these virtual races that are there for people to be able to take part in, there's stuff to fill the gap, and there's stuff to actually keep them going and give them a bit of motivation and whatever else. And all we need to do now is get everyone signed up for Headspace as well, and we'll all be in the same boat as you, Karl, and coming round to your back garden for a bit of mindfulness each day. Just
and ditching Domino's and trying Papa John's as well.
Oh, you got to do it. You got to do it. It's the best.
using promo code Karl Says So, and
you can try it. Yeah.
10% off your next
Karl
order from
30
Papa
off.
John's.
Yeah. Karl 30 gives you 30% off. No one can see me rolling my eyes, making shifty looks right.
Awesome stuff.
No, it's
lovely.
Cool. Thank you.
Right, so thank you very much for joining us, Karl. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode. If you haven't already subscribed to this podcast, it'd be ace if you could click that subscribe button so that you get each episode delivered straight to you and you get notified as each one comes out. We've got like 13 or 14 different directories that we're actually listed on now. So there should be something for everybody. We've also got YouTube as well that we're on now, so you can subscribe to YouTube channel and get sort of notified when each new YouTube one comes out on YouTube. Each podcast comes out on YouTube, which is obviously, again, easy for me to say. So yeah, so all this left to say is make sure that you keep signing up for races. If there are races for later on in the year and you've got the money to do so and you're in a financial position to be able to do so and invest a bit of money into races, don't forget there's still races going on for the rest of the year. Once hopefully all this is over, we've got Karl on from Spartan, so invest some money with Spartan. We've obviously got our in-house race as well, Mud 7. That's on August 8th, so get signed up for that as well. It'd be awesome to have you with us. Obviously, races can't take place unless you actually invest your money with them. It's money makes world go round at the end of the day, doesn't it? So, right, awesome stuff, lovely. Cheers, Karl. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No worries. Cheers, Kev. Thank you very much, mate. And I'll have a good night. See you later.
Everyone.
Bye.